Prince transforms his bride into a monstrous beast at midnight. The Black Rose Episode 3. As the clock struck midnight, shadows danced wildly across the castle walls, whispering secrets of the darkness that loomed within. The air was thick with anticipation, electric like a storm brewing just beyond the horizon. Tonight was no ordinary night. It was the night everything would change for Amelia, the prince's beloved bride. Her heart raced, a caged bird fluttering desperately, as the foreboding chimes echoed through the ancient halls. What lay ahead was not just a test of love, but a twisted tale of beauty and terror woven together. Amelia wore a gown spun from silver moonlight, delicate fabric shimmering with a rare elegance. But beneath the fabric lay an unsettling chill in the pit of her stomach. She could feel it, a strange force gathering in the moody air around her. It wrapped around her like a silken shroud, tightening with each passing moment, as if the very fibers of her dress were alive, pulling her towards something dark and unfathomable. She glanced at her reflection in the ornate mirror, her eyes sparkling with hope, yet a shadow flickered behind her gaze, a warning she couldn't ignore. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and in stepped Prince Alaric, exuding an enchanting grace. But there was something unnerving about his smile. It didn't quite reach his eyes. They burned with an intensity that made her heart pound like thunder. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows across the room, momentarily revealing a monstrous visage hidden behind his handsome facade. Her breath hitched in her throat. What could he be hiding? The prince reached out, his fingers brushing against hers, sending a shiver racing up her spine. "Are you ready for the change?" he murmured, each word dripping with an enticement she couldn't resist, yet couldn't fully understand. Amelia's mind raced, trapped in a whirlwind of emotion as a chilling memory echoed in her head. The tales of the cursed rose, rumored to possess more power than any heart could dare to handle. A single petal, they said, could twist a soul into a grotesque creature at the stroke of midnight. Her heart sank. Was this what he meant? "I am not sure," she stammered, feeling a lump of dread form in her throat. Would love truly overpower the darkness? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moment lingered, heavy with the weight of 1,000 unsaid words. Alaric's grip tightened around her fingers, the warmth radiating from him battling the icy fear creeping along her spine. "Amelia," he said, voice trembling like leaves in a fierce wind, "our fate lies within the rose. Trust me." The words hung ominously in the air, whispering promises and threats all at once. What choice did she truly have? The clock continued its relentless ticking, drowning out her thoughts. As she drew in a shaky breath, darkness swallowed the room. In that instant, the ground shifted beneath her. Would she become the beauty or the beast? The answer was just moments away. Silence enveloped the room, wrapping Amelia in an eerie embrace, the clock's relentless ticking echoing like a countdown to impending doom. In the shadows, Prince Alaric's silhouette loomed larger, cloaked in mystery. A primal fear clawed at the edges of Amelia's heart, urging her to flee. Yet she felt rooted to the spot, as if the castle itself conspired to keep her there. "Trust me," his words slid through the air like a venomous whisper, dripping with an alluring poison. But as the seconds slipped away, another part of her fought back, rising from the depths of doubt. Could she truly trust a man who hinted at such dark magic? With every tick of the clock, the tension in the room thickened. Smoke curled up from the candles, casting flickering shadows that danced erratically on the walls like tortured souls in search of freedom. Her gut twisted. Was this the magic of the cursed rose unraveling around them? Amelia turned her gaze, wrestling with her fear and curiosity, searching for any sign of hope within his obsidian eyes. Alaric stepped closer, each stride a proclamation of his power. "You've chosen me, but do you understand what that means? Love demands sacrifice." His voice darkened, heavy with the weight of hidden truths. "Sacrifice?" she echoed, her voice trembling. "What do you mean?" The air turned cold, sending shivers racing down her spine. She glanced around for an escape, but the walls felt as if they were closing in. The rose, he grimaced, it offers untold beauty but demands a price. He held out his palm, a single dark petal resting upon it, shimmering with an unnatural sheen that promised both ecstasy and horror. Amelia could feel its pull, a temptation tugging at her soul, sweet and sharp. "What price?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper as dread crept like a shadow into her heart. Alaric's smile twisted, that haunting look falling into place like a mask. "The choice will be made not by me but by you. Accept it, and you will become what I need you to be, a vessel for darkness." His eyes was alight with something unfathomable, excitement mingling with madness. Time seemed to freeze as Amelia faced him, her heart a wild drum in her chest. She felt the weight of his gaze upon her, the gravity of a decision that would redefine her existence. The world outside faded into nothingness. All that remained was this moment, her fragile hope, the terror of her very being. What was she willing to sacrifice for love? Eternity? Her humanity? Breath caught in her throat, she could barely speak. Alaric leaned in closer, his presence overwhelming, as if he were the storm threatening to consume her. "Love is never without consequence, dear Amelia. Do you embrace it?" A battle raged within her, fear battled the allure. The darkness around her stirred, whispering promises of power she had never wanted. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a blast of wind burst through the chamber, extinguishing the candles and leaving them in total darkness. A blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. Was it hers or Alaric's? Suddenly, a painful realization clawed at her insides. She might not be the one making the choice at all. As the shadows coiled around her, Amelia felt the first stirrings of something deep within her, awakening. Where was this journey leading her? Had she already lost her way? The chaos spiraled just out of reach, and she could sense the beast within clawing to break free. The clock chimed ominously once more, its echo sending a pulse of panic through her veins. What had she begun? And then in the chilling gloom, she heard a low growl, primal and chilling, unraveling the very fabric of her fear. Would she be consumed or master her fate? With dread pulsating in her chest, Amelia stood frozen, heart racing, moonlight streaming through the window casting her shadow along the wall. The haunting question hung in the air, echoing through the castle as the night deepened. What would she become? As the shadows twisted and swirled around her, she knew the truth was lurking just beyond the darkness, waiting for her to uncover it. Would she have the power to wield it, or would it devour her whole? Amelia's fate hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of oblivion. The darkness pressed in around Amelia like a living entity, a thick fog that stifled her breath. Panic surged, clawing at her throat as she strained to see Alaric's face, to read the emotions flickering behind those unreadable eyes. The looming shadows felt heavier, darker, as though they were alive, breathing around her. The low growl pulled at her instinct to flee, but where would she run? The castle was a labyrinth of secrets, its stone walls seeming to pulse with a life of their own, trapping her in this twisted fate. The howl of the wind outside filled her ears, blending with the growl until they became one, the sound of something ancient and primal. Amelia Alaric's voice cut through the darkness, smooth yet jagged like a blade. "You need to embrace this. You're stronger than you know." Her heart thundered against her ribcage. "Stronger how?" she shouted, words spilling out like an avalanche of fear. "What does it mean to embrace the darkness?" He stepped closer, shadows swallowing him whole, then releasing him like a spectral creature. "To transform." The hint of a grin lingered on his lips as he described the monstrous power that lay within her. "The rose has awakened it, your destiny unfolds." With those words the atmosphere shifted. Fear wrestled with intrigue. Her curiosity flared. The beast inside her rattled its cage. Could she truly wield power? Or would the darkness consume her? Shivers ran down her spine as the thought electrified her. She had always felt different, an outsider. What if this was where she truly belonged? "You'll have to submit," he continued, his voice thick with menace and seduction. "Open your heart to what hides beneath the surface of your being. You'll find your true self." True self? The question slipped from her lips like a feather caught in the wind. The thought of unearthing something unrecognizable terrified her. "What if I don't want this?" "It's not a matter of want." Alaric's tone turned serious, his shadow deepening. "You've already chosen, Amelia. This is who you are meant to be. The rose only reveals the potential, the magic sleeps within." You must awaken it. A chilling sensation curled around her essence. What would that awakening feel like? As if in answer, the shadows squirmed with excitement. They surged forward, sweeping around her limbs, teasing sensations she had never experienced. Hints of power touched her skin, sparking warmth within her belly. No, panic bubbled. I won't let it in. She took a step back, clenching her fists as she fought against the pull. Yet the darkness was intoxicating, arousing feelings of liberation intertwined with dread. Alaric's voice softened, infusing urgency. You must give in. The clock is ticking, Amelia. The transformation waits for no one. He gestured towards the looming clock. Each tick felt like a heartbeat drawing nearer to an unknown end. Tension coiled in her gut, tightening like a noose. Time was slipping. What if she missed the chance to embrace her destiny? But was this destiny or a nightmare waiting to unravel? What happens if I refuse? Forfeit. His response was grave, resonating within the depths of her core. Your humanity, your very soul. You will become a mere shadow of who you could be. A cold wave of terror washed over her. The fear of losing herself forever felt suffocating. Amelia stood at a crossroads, and the decision hung heavy in the air. With every second that slipped away, the shadows grew bolder. They beckoned her with promises of unimaginable power. Would she surrender herself to the beast inside? As panic swirled like a storm within her heart, she caught the glint of something in Alaric's eyes. Was it anticipation? Or a darkness far deeper than she had imagined? The clock chimed again, and the ground trembled beneath her. What fate awaited her when the hour struck? Would she transform or become a prisoner of the darkness, forever haunted by her choice? The shadows writhed. She could feel their energy gnawing at her resolve. Time was running out and the choice loomed larger. Would she embrace the darkness, or let it consume her? Forever? Amelia's heart raced as she felt the shadows wrap around her, growing bolder, more demanding. It was as if they were aware of her struggle, testing her resolve with each pulse of energy that surged through her body. Her breaths came in quick gasps, caught between fear and exhilaration. Amelia Alaric's voice was now a velvet whisper, enticing and calm, yet threaded with a chilling undercurrent. Let go. Embrace your fear. What you see as a curse could be your greatest strength. The shadows twitched, igniting a fire in her veins. She could almost taste their power, a dark, seductive flavor that promised freedom from the chains of her mundane existence. But what would it cost her? You don't understand, she shouted, her voice cracking under the weight of panic. What if I lose myself? What if I become a monster? Monster or goddess, it is up to you. He stepped closer, and the darkness around him rippled as if alive. You fear the unknown. But imagine being able to command power that others can only dream of. You could break free from every limitation. You're trying to manipulate me, she retorted, her fists trembling. This isn't who I am. Isn't it? Alaric arched an eyebrow, his gaze piercing through her defenses. The shadows quivered eagerly, wrapping tighter around her, amplifying her emotions. You felt the pull, Amelia. It's been building since the day you arrived. The rose awakened what was always inside you, just waiting for the right moment. The clock ticked ominously in the background, each second a reminder of her dwindling time. She could feel the walls of the castle closing and the stone seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The growl, deeper and closer now, echoed her doubts. How could she choose the path of darkness when every fiber of her being screamed against it? Time waits for no one, Alaric said, urgency slipping back into his voice. With each tick, your chance to awaken with the rose fades. Harness what the world fears. It is your birthright. The shadows fluttered like dark wings around her, making her skin tingle. She clenched her teeth, fighting the pull that yearned to break free. A memory flashed, a time when she felt powerful, when her choices mattered. But that had been a life of simplicity, a life without secrets. Don't you want to feel alive? Alaric pressed, stepping even closer, his breath warm against her skin. This is your moment, Amelia. Choose wisely. Everything hung in balance: fear and desire, power and vulnerability. But then, as if sensing her turmoil, the shadows withdrew slightly, wrapping gently instead of forcefully. They felt like a lover's caress, whispering promises of strength and belonging. Amelia's heart thundered as the clock clanged loudly, each ring drumming against her resolve. An idea sparked a dangerous flare against the growing gloom. What if I could harness the darkness without losing myself? She asked, her voice barely audible. Alaric's eyes lit up with excitement. Yes, that's the spirit. To tread the line between light and shadow. You have the ability to create your own path. The key is to embrace the hybrid of who you were and who you could become. Simultaneously drawn to the power ahead and terrified of her potential loss, Amelia felt hope mingling with dread. Could she reshape her fate? Could she wield the very darkness that threatened to consume her? With a sudden rush of adrenaline, she took a deep breath, looking straight into Alaric's enigmatic gaze. Maybe I'm ready to unlock what lies within. A triumphant smile spread across his face, but before he could respond, the ground shook violently beneath them, and a loud guttural roar echoed from deep within the castle's depths. What was that? Amelia's heart raced again, this time in fear. A chill swept through the shadows, pulling tighter around her as Alaric's expression shifted to one of concern. We're not alone, Amelia. Something stirs within these walls, a threat you may not be ready to face. As the noise grew louder, a heavy door at the end of the corridor started to shudder, threatening to burst open. Amelia's breath quickened. She might have chosen to embrace the darkness, but would it be her savior or her doom? The clock struck midnight. Would the shadows protect her? Or were they the real danger? The heavy door splintered and groaned, a sound that sent shivers racing down Amelia's spine. Her heart pounded hard against her ribs, the rhythm now a frantic pulse that matched the chaos around her. She had opened the door to darkness, but had she unwittingly released something far worse? Stay close to me, Alaric urged, his voice low and commanding. The shadows, tense and coiled like serpents, tightened around Amelia as if sensing something terrible was about to emerge. Another roar reverberated through the stone halls, a visceral growl that vibrated beneath her feet. It echoed between the ancient walls, stirring up dust and displacing shadows that clung to every crevice. The source of the noise was drawing closer, and she could feel the air thickening with dread. What is it? She gasped, her mind racing. Whatever was behind that door could be either the key to her power or a death knell. Something dark. Something waiting for this moment to break free. He replied, unfazed, his eyes scanning the shifting shadows. There was a calmness to Alaric that rooted Amelia in place. She wasn't sure whether to trust him or flee. We need to be cautious. Embrace your instincts, Amelia. They are stronger than you think. Then, as if sensing her wavering resolve, the shadows surged, crashing against each other loudly, swirling in erratic patterns. Panic clawed at her throat, and she fought to suppress it. She closed her eyes for a brief second, trying to conjure the power within those shadows, the seductive allure she had felt only moments ago. You can do this, Alaric insisted. Don't shy away from it now. But before she could respond, the door burst open with a terrifying bang, sending splinters flying across the room. In the swirling smoke and flickering shadows, a figure emerged, monstrous and awe-inspiring, shimmering with darkness and light. It was a creature woven from nightmares, standing tall and imposing, a twisted amalgamation of beast and human. Amelia stumbled back, clutching the wall for support. The creature's eyes glinted like dying stars, filled with an ancient rage. A low growl rumbled deep within its chest, vibrating the air around her. The shadows thrummed with energy at her feet as if they were alive, reacting to the presence of this horrific figure. Alaric stepped in front of Amelia, shielding her from the creature's glare. This is a manifestation of the darkness our fears made flesh. Do not let it take hold of you. His voice was fierce, urging her to find strength amidst the chaos. Instinctively, Amelia summoned the shadows to wrap around her, feeling their warmth and familiarity. Stay back, she shouted, her voice rising, fueled by a new sense of authority. The creature hesitated, sensing the surge of power emanating from her. It recoiled slightly as if it could recognize the source of its origin. Amelia's heart raced as she realized the monstrous energy, twisted as it was, had a tether to her own awakening. But then the creature lunged, its clawed hands outstretched, teeth bared in a vicious snarl. Amelia braced herself, expecting a collision, a violent union of predator and prey. This is it, Alaric urged, his own power radiating, combining with her own. Transform your fear. Use it to conquer. Driven by a primal urge for survival, Amelia shouted, I will not be your puppet. and as she did, the shadows flared around her, forming a barrier between her and the creature. Then, to both her horror and fascination, the shadows responded, contorting and twisting into a form of shield and spear, shrouded in midnight energy. In that pivotal moment, a chilling realization struck her: she was neither the victim nor the monster. She was becoming something new. With newfound determination, she stepped forward, ready to face whatever emerged from the depths of darkness. The creature hesitated, but its next move would unleash a revelation Amelia could never have anticipated, one choice away from altering everything. What awaited them both in this epic clash between light and shadow? Would she emerge a warrior, or would the shadows consume her? Holy! Amelia's heart thundered like a drum in her chest as the creature lunged forward, a chaotic flurry of shadow and fury. Something deep within her recognized this struggle wasn't merely against a beast, but a battle against the embodiment of her deepest fears. Focus! Alaric shouted, stepping closer, his hands outstretched. The energy between them crackled with potential, the air thick and electric. You control the shadows. Make them your ally. She felt the heat of his words igniting a fire inside her, a flame of purpose that filled the void of her fear. The creature barreled toward them, its claws gleaming like daggers. Time slowed for a heartbeat. Amelia closed her eyes, reaching deep within, summoning the shadows that had always flickered at the edges of her consciousness. Come to me. She beckoned, her voice stronger now, a hymn that rang with conviction. The shadows twisted around her, morphing into a dark, pulsating mass that danced in response to her command. In a split second, her barrier grew firm and solid, absorbing the impact of the creature's attack. Claws scraped against her shield, sending vibrations coursing through her arms. She gasped at the sensation, a mixture of pain and power that surged through her veins. Push back. You have to push back. Alaric pressed, his eyes locked onto hers, intent and fierce. He added his power to hers, the two energies intertwining like vines reaching for the sky. Amelia took a deep breath, her chest rising and filling with an unfamiliar strength. You think you can intimidate me? She called out, channeling the shadows into a tangible form, fierce and sharp. You are nothing. As if hearing her taunt, the creature recoiled. For the first time, doubt flickered in its dying star eyes. It hesitated, uncertainty replacing the primal hunger that had driven it moments before. Now, strike, Alaric commanded, his voice igniting a sense of purpose in her. With ferocity, Amelia thrust her arm forward, sending the dark spear slicing through the air. It struck the creature squarely in the chest, a shattering burst of shadow and light. The beast howled, a sound that echoed off the stone walls, shrill and haunting. It staggered back, clearly in pain, but rage flashed in its eyes. Yet something else stirred within Amelia. With each movement, each surge of power, she was no longer living in fear, she was becoming the tide. The darkness swirled lovingly around her, weaving into a cloak that blew in an unseen wind, a promise of her potential. Embrace it, Alaric cheered as she stepped firm, the remnants of her fear melting away. The creature, disoriented, suddenly lunged again, charging recklessly, its jaws snapping. Amelia felt the surge of energy build within the shadows, but it wasn't fear that fueled her this time, it was empowerment. In an instant, a new idea sparked in her mind. If you fear me, why do you keep coming back? She countered, her voice steady. You seek to break me, but it is your own weakness that will seal your fate. She focused all her will into the shadows, bending them like a bowstring drawn taut. The creature leaped, but she released her energy, an explosion of darkness that erupted outward like a star bursting into brilliance. It was a torrent of shadowy flames, engulfing the creature's form, illuminating the dim chamber in a haunting glow. Amelia watched, her breath caught, as the beast tumbled back under the force of her unleashed power. But just as victory seemed within reach, the creature's body faded into tendrils of darkness, disappearing into the very shadows it sprang from. The chamber fell silent, leaving only the echo of Alaric's fierce belief in her own panting breaths. What just happened? Amelia whispered, feeling a strange mix of exhilaration and dread. The fight had not ended. It had transformed into something else. We're not done yet, Alaric replied, his expression shadowed with concern. The true battle is still ahead, and it will not be easy. What you faced was merely a glimpse of what lies in wait. As the shadows danced around them, Amelia knew in her heart. that a storm was brewing, one that threatened to unravel everything she thought she understood. What deeper horrors lay hidden beyond those walls? And what would she discover about the true nature of her powers? The chamber felt cold and empty, the echoes of the battle hanging in the air like ghosts, tormenting Amelia. She turned to Alaric, his presence now an anchor in the rising tide of uncertainty. "What do you mean, the true battle?" she asked, searching his eyes for assurance. Alaric's brow furrowed, pulling his lips into a tight line. "You've only scratched the surface of your potential. The darkness isn't simply something you can control. It's a part of you now. But there are others. Creatures that have fed on the fears of people for centuries, much stronger than what you just faced." A shiver cascaded down her spine. "Are you saying I'll have to fight again?" "Yes. And this time it might not just be your fear you're confronting." The shadows surrounding Amelia began to pulse gently, whispering promises of power and terror. She felt a strange bond with them. They were no longer just dark tendrils, they were allies. But alongside that warmth was an undercurrent of apprehension, a gnawing worry of what awaited her. "Then what do we do now?" Amelia asked, trying to steady her racing heart. "We prepare," Alaric replied. "We need to strengthen your connection to the shadows. You can't just react. You must anticipate. Feel them, become them." It felt daunting, almost impossible. Just moments ago, she'd been the terrified girl battered by fears now rising in deadly forms. But how? Alaric gestured towards the chamber's walls, thick with history and secrets. "Listen to the shadows. They have stories to share, lessons of despair and courage. You've already felt their embrace. Let it teach you." Amelia nodded hesitantly, closing her eyes. She focused on her breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs and the pulse of the shadows all around her. Deep down, she sensed that if she listened closely enough, she could uncover truths hidden in the dark. Suddenly, a chill swept through the chamber, and Amelia's eyes flew open. "Did you feel that?" Alaric's expression darkened. "We aren't alone." Before she could understand his words, a figure emerged from the swirling shadows at the far end of the chamber, a tall, imposing silhouette. Beneath the pale light flickering from an unseen source, it took form, humanoid yet twisted, angular and grotesque. Darkness clung to its body, rippling like oil spilled on water. "What is that?" she gasped, instinctively moving closer to Alaric. That Alaric's voice trembled slightly. "Is a wraith. It feasts on despair." The wraith stepped forward, a low hiss escaping its lips, the sound carrying the weight of anguish. "I'm here for you, Amelia. You're so full of potential. Let me show you." Every fiber of her being screamed at her to run, but she couldn't tear her gaze away. The wraith's eyes glowed, reflecting the depths of her soul, revealing fears she thought she had buried. "We can give you power beyond comprehension," it continued, its voice like velvet laced with poison. "Stay back," Alaric shouted, raising a hand defensively. The shadows around them pulsed, reacting to his forceful command. "Your fears shall consume you. Embrace the darkness, Amelia," the wraith urged, stepping ever closer, its jagged fingers extending, beckoning as if they could pluck her heart from her chest. Amelia felt the weight of its words, the temptation curling around her like smoke. Was this what Alaric feared? Was this wraith the embodiment of what she might become? "Don't listen." Alaric's voice cut through the haze. "You are not your fears. You are the sum of your strength." In that instant, clarity broke through her confusion. The shadows weren't just a refuge, they were a part of her. And she would not be leverage in another creature's game. She stepped forward, ready to confront the wraith. "What I am now is because of me," Amelia declared, confidence rising within her. "Foolish girl," the wraith hissed, a wicked grin stretching across its face. "We'll see how long that conviction lasts." As its shadowy form lunged toward her, Amelia closed her eyes once again, but this time for a different reason. She wasn't afraid. She was ready to embrace the darkness not as a victim, but as a warrior. But just as she summoned her newfound strength, the chamber shook, the walls trembled as if they were alive. What had she awakened? The battle was far from over. It was only just beginning. The moment Amelia's determination ignited within her, the chamber erupted like a storm. Stones cracked, and dust rained from the ceiling as the wraith surged toward her. The air thickened, pressing against her like a weight, making it harder to breathe. Alaric steadied himself, hands raised, projecting waves of shadow that met the wraith's advance with fierce resistance. "Focus, Amelia! Draw on the shadows!" he shouted over the tumult, his voice strained but hopeful. She felt the shadows quiver at her command, a dark energy coiling around her limbs like a warm embrace. Suddenly, everything froze, a heartbeat suspended in time. The wraith halted mid-lunge, its hollow eyes narrowed as if assessing her. "Why do you fight it?" the wraith cooed, coaxing her. So much power just waiting to be unleashed. Amelia locked eyes with the creature. Deep within those glowing orbs lay her fears, dredged from her memories like a dark tide. She had fought those fears for so long, pushing them away, denying their existence. But out of the murky depths rose a flicker of rebellion. No, this time she would not shy away from them. "Because they are mine," she screamed, the shadows around her flaring with furious light. "I will not be your puppet." With those words she stretched out her hands, feeling the shadows surge, taking form. They twisted around her, swirling, forging into a shadowy shield. It absorbed the wraith's wicked energy, converting it into strength. The wraith hissed, losing its composure. "You can't control it. You are nothing but a child playing with fire." "Maybe," she replied, her voice clear and steady. "But fire can burn." With a fierce thrust, she sent a wave of shadow toward the wraith. It screamed, a sound that felt like nails on a chalkboard, echoing with the pain of an existence steeped in despair. The ground beneath her shook, crying out in tandem, but she didn't let the fear creep back in. Each pulse of energy filled her like a rising tide, swelling her confidence. "I will channel the fear. I will not flee from it," she declared, her resolve a blazing beacon in the dark. And her mind. She envisioned each fear she had ever faced, a past that weighed her down, haunted her steps. And now, with each recognition, she felt the chains of that fear shatter within her as the shadows danced around her. They grew stronger, forming tendrils that lashed out. The wraith recoiled, engulfed by darkness, its twisted body thrashing helplessly. "You think you've won? This is merely the beginning," it screeched, struggling to break free. "I will return. I'll be waiting," Amelia shouted back, heart racing as she pushed the energy further, deeper, unleashing the full force of her newfound strength. The chamber trembled violently, then erupted with a sound that wasn't just a roar, but an imploding silence, a void swallowing the wraith whole. The light flickered, the shadows retreated, revealing a strange stillness. "Did we?" Amelia whispered, chest heaving. "Yes, we did," Alaric breathed, awe and relief mingling in his voice. "But this is only a temporary reprieve. Other wraiths lurk in the shadows, drawn to you. They know the power within you." Amelia shuddered, the adrenaline fading, leaving her shaky but resolute. "I won't let this be the end. I'll train. I'll learn." Alaric held her gaze, the seriousness of their fight settling over them. "You must. But there's something you must know, Amelia. Each time you summon the shadows, you draw closer to the very darkness you fight against." The air grew heavy with the weight of his words, suffocating in its truth. "What do you mean?" she asked, fear creeping back in. "Embracing the shadows may turn you into something unrecognizable, a monstrous reflection of the wraiths you despise," he explained, his tone grave. "The challenge isn't just fighting them. It's maintaining who you are." Before she could respond, the ground began to tremble again. But this time, it felt different, more sinister. A deep rumble echoed outside the chamber, growing louder, reverberating through the stones. "Amelia!" Alaric shouted, urgency flashing in his eyes. "We need to move now." Together they dashed toward the exit, but with every step, Amelia felt the ground quake beneath her. The darkness swirling once more, this time, not just from the shadows, but from something beyond them. "What now?" she panted as they neared the opening. Then the echo of laughter rang out, chilling her to the bone. A voice thick with malice taunted her from the depths of the abyss. "It's time to ascend, my dear. Your journey is not yet complete." As dread washed over her, a haunting realization hit. This battle was only the beginning, and the real test was yet to come. As Alaric burst through the archway, Amelia followed close behind, heart thundering in her chest. The tremors intensified, shockwaves propelling them forward as the cold darkness chased them. The laughter echoed again, reverberating through the stone corridors, mocking their flight. "Run!" Alaric shouted, eyes wild with urgency. The walls of the corridor seemed to close in, shadows writhing like serpents reaching out for her. Amelia's breath caught. She could almost feel the chill of the wraith's presence brushing against her skin, whispering promises of power disguised as temptation. It was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. They dashed into a larger chamber, vast and empty, save for a dilapidated pedestal in the center that seemed to vibrate with a hum of energy. Amelia's feet skidded to a stop. Amelia, focus. Alaric's voice pulled her from the brink of despair. We can't let it get to us. Remember what you felt back there. Channel it. The air was thick now, swirling like a tempest. It enveloped them, pressing down, making her feel small. Amelia squared her shoulders, feeling the remnants of the shadows, a smoldering ember within her. Do you think it can sense how close we are? She asked, panic rising like bile. Only if we show fear. Keep your mind sharp. Amelia nodded, trying to ground herself. But then the shadows coalesced, forming a figure at the edge of the chamber. It was indistinct at first, just a silhouette, but then it morphed with a grotesque grace, taking shape as a creature even more terrifying than the wraith. Its body twisted in unnatural angles, rotted flesh hanging from sinewy bones, eyes glowing with a ravenous hunger. What is that? She gasped, the icy grip of terror wrapping around her throat. Alaric's face hardened. An echo, he said, words laced with grim understanding. A dark mirror of what you could become before they could react. The echo lunged, a horrifying screech escaping its maw. A perfect reproduction of Amelia's cries in moments of despair. It was her fear personified, a creature made of darkness and denial, and it was coming for her. Amelia stumbled backward, feeling the shadows around her pulse. What do I do? She shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. Embrace it. You are stronger than your fears. With a surge of determination, Amelia drew upon the shadowy essence within her. It swirled violently, tangling with the darkness of the echo, a wild storm of power and fear. She remembered her moments of courage, the warmth of hope kindling a flame beneath her skin. The shadows reacted, amplified her strength, merging with the raw ferocity she had just tasted. The echo hesitated, momentarily disoriented. It lost its form, flickering between grotesque shapes, each one a fragment of her past fears. Failure, loneliness, despair. Face me, Amelia shouted, pride mixing with fear. She locked onto the echo's fading form, unwilling to let it bend her will any longer. I want to be a prisoner to you. The chamber plunged into chaos as she unleashed all of her fury. Dark tendrils speared forth, colliding with the creature, forcing it back, driving it to the edge of the abyss that loomed behind it. The ground quaked, responding to their battle, a dance of shadows and light, fear and determination. Yet, as she pressed her advantage, she felt a ripple of doubt. Was she still in control? Or was she becoming the very monster she fought? With each pulse of her power, the pleasure of dominance flickered with the dread of self-destruction. A painful roar ripped from the echo as it was pushed to the brink, but before it could vanish, it hurled one last taunt, its voice lilting in sick mirth. You think you can defeat me? I am you and you are me, you'll never be free. Amelia's heart dropped. The truth behind its words was a gnawing weight, a thought that chilled her to the bone. Then in a blinding flash, everything erupted, darkness, light, and a final scream that shattered the silence as the chamber fell silent once more. Amelia found herself staring into the abyss, the weight of that revelation hanging heavier than ever. Amelia Alaric's cautious tone broke through her daze. We need to leave. This isn't over. The shadows began to swirl again, tugging at her being, and with every heartbeat, she grappled with the fear of what she might become. Suddenly the laughter echoed one last time, a calling from the depths. This is just the beginning, my dear. Come find me when you're ready to embrace your true self. Amelia's breath hitched, the implications sinking in like a stone. She had to fight not just the darkness around her, but the one that lurked within. And as she turned to face Alaric, a new sense of determination ignited within her. The real battle was only just beginning, but she knew she had to forge her own path before the shadows swallowed her whole. What fate awaited her? As the darkness beckoned, as the shadows danced around her, Amelia felt a surge of defiance swelling deep within. No longer was she just a pawn in this twisted game. With her heart racing and fire in her veins, she met Alaric's gaze. Their understanding unspoken yet palpable. They both knew this was a fight not only for their lives but for what remained of their souls. "Alaric," she breathed, her voice steady amidst the chaos, "I won't let it consume me. I'll harness it. I'll become who I choose." He nodded, his expression fierce, yet a flicker of doubt lingered behind his eyes. "Then let us get out of here and regroup. Together we'll train, gain strength, and face whatever comes next. But we can't let fear drive us." With those words they pushed forward. The darkness morphed and twisted as they moved, an entity that seemed both alive and aware, eager to reclaim its territory. They navigated through the shifting shadows together, Alaric leading the way with unwavering resolve. Amelia's pulse echoed a steady rhythm, grounded by their shared mission. As they emerged into a larger hall, the air thickened with an oppressive energy. Amelia could feel the shadows whispering promises of power, and yet part of her hesitated. What would it mean to control them? Would she truly be able to shape her fate without losing herself in the process? "Amelia." Alaric's voice broke through her thoughts, filled with urgency. "This is it. We have to find the source of this darkness. Only then can we uncover the truth about the rose and the history of the wraiths." "Let me lead," she said, fearlessly stepping forward. "I don't need to be shielded. I am more than my fears." Together they explored the vast chamber, its stones echoing their footsteps. Every creak and rustle felt like a heartbeat in a slowly awakening creature. Watching, waiting. Shadows clung to the corners, flickering like flames, vibrant with untold secrets. Suddenly the air shifted, cold and heavy, and a voice as smooth as silk slithered from the darkness. "You look so bold, Amelia. So foolish. This power is not something you can tame. Who are you?" she challenged, voice resonating with strength she didn't know she had. The darkness shifted, and from it emerged a figure cloaked entirely in shadow, eyes glinting with cruel amusement. "I am the splinter that grows into the root of despair," it hissed, laughter bubbling beneath the surface. "You feel it, don't you? That hunger for power? It's intoxicating. Why fight? Because it doesn't define me," Amelia shouted, determination flooding her with warmth. Alaric stepped closer, adding his strength to hers. "Together we resist. Together we will fight our demons. Your darkness cannot overpower the light inside." The shadow being recoiled, fury flashing across its ethereal face. "Fools!" it snarled. "You think yourself free. But just wait, each time you summon the shadows, the darkness gets closer to consuming you." "No," Amelia shouted, even as doubt clawed at her insides. "I am not afraid." With a shared glance, Alaric and Amelia summoned their powers. Shadows swirled around them, clashing with the darkness of the sinister figure. The air buzzed with electricity as shadows erupted in a blinding whirlwind. The creature lashed out, attempting to grasp at them, but they woven shadows into shields and spears. "Fight!" Alaric shouted as they pressed forward, shadowy tendrils bursting with power. Amelia's heart raced, tremors of fear igniting her resolve. With each incantation, she drew on memories of courage, her past fears morphing into strength. "Your fears have no hold over me," she declared to the creature, eyes ablaze. "I choose who I become." In that moment an explosion of energy radiated from her. A hurricane of darkness and light. The shadow being's form twisted, shrieking as Amelia's will surged forth with all its tumultuous power. "You dare!" it hissed, but before it could react further, Amelia thrust her arm forward, the shadows morphing into an unstoppable barrier between them. The creature staggered under the force. "This ain't over." It spat just before it dissipated into smoke, wisps of darkness spiraling into nothingness. Amelia and Alaric could only stand there, breathing heavily, watching the remnants fade, heartbeats echoing in the stillness. The air pulsed with residual energy, the walls seeming to breathe with relief. "We did it," Amelia whispered, wonder flooding her as she shared a triumphant grin with Alaric. "But the battle is not done." "No," Alaric agreed, but the light in his gaze matched her own. "We've just begun to uncover what we can do together." And in that moment they both understood the truth of their journey. The darkness wasn't merely something to fight against. It was a part of their story, an intrinsic thread woven into their existence. And together they would write a new tale, one of hope emerging from despair, illuminated by courage and shared strength. The chamber hinted at a future laden with challenges, but Amelia was ready. She had faced fear and confronted her nightmares. Together they would continue to delve into the depths, uncovering secrets and reshaping destinies, against whatever shadows awaited beyond the horizon. With arms raised and spirits entwined, they stepped forward, ready to face the world and all the darkness it contained, determined to emerge as warriors, guardians of their own fates. This was just the beginning of their story, and they were prepared to unfold its pages. Now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And please, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let us build this community and embrace the next chapter.